First chapter you have done financial statements of a company. In that you have learned what is the format of the balance sheet of a company and what is the format of statement of profit and loss of a company. Then you have learned some analysis techniques, how to analyze these financial statements. So two of these techniques you have already learned. One is comparative statement and one is common size statement. Now two more techniques are there. One is ratio analysis and one is cash flow statement. So ratio analysis we are going to start now. So first thing is meaning of ratio analysis. What is the meaning of ratio analysis? That when accounting ratio may be expressed as an arithmetical relationship between two accounting variables. Now what are accounting variables? Whatever information you are giving in your financial statements, it can be balance sheet, it can be statement of profit and loss. And you know now that in balance sheet, you will get the information regarding various assets and liabilities. And in statement of profit and loss, you will be getting information regarding revenue from operations, that is sales. You will be getting information regarding other types of income of the company, that is other income. You will be getting information regarding various expenses. And then afterwards, you will be getting information regarding profit and tax of the company. So whatever information you are getting in your financial statements, revenue from operations, expenses, assets, so these all are accounting variables. So like expenses are accounting variables, revenue from operation is an accounting variable, your fixed assets are accounting variable, your current assets, current liabilities, non-current assets, capital, these all are accounting variables. Now suppose I say that there are two companies. I will give you an example so that you will be able to understand it better. Suppose there are two companies. One is A Limited and another company is B Limited. And I say that capital of A Limited is, suppose 1 lakh rupees, and capital of, sorry, profit, it is profit, I should mention it here. Profit of A Limited is 1 lakh and profit of B Limited is 2 lakh. Which company is better? Obviously, if we will decide on the basis of this absolute amount, we will compare A Limited and B Limited and we will decide that B Limited is better. According to this information, B Limited is better than A. But at the same time, if I give you an information, another information along with it, that capital of A Limited is rupees 10 lakh this is the capital of A Limited and the capital of B Limited is, suppose, rupees 40 lakh. So now if you will compare these two informations, obviously your decision will get changed, because now the rate of return, if I will ask you rate of return, it will be 10% A Limited is earning 10% on its capital. 10% of 10 lakh will be 1 lakh. So it is rate of return. So how I have got this rate of return? When I have compared profit and capital. So rate of return of A Limited is 10%. And if suppose I calculate rate of return for B Limited also, that will come 5%. 2 lakh upon 40 lakh. So that will be only 5%. So rate of return I am comparing, then I will be able to decide better. I will be able to take the better decision that A Limited is better than B Limited. But if I was looking only of the on the absolute amount, then I was getting a different perception. I was getting a wrong information that B Limited is better than A Limited. So that is the advantage of getting ratios analysis. So this 10% and 5% is also a ratio. However, it is expressed in percentage terms, but it is also a ratio. Now, what are the different types of expressing ratios? So first one is pure ratio. Like in partnership, you have studied that A and B are partners and their profit sharing ratio is 2:1. So that is called pure ratio. So whenever we are expressing, like here I can say the in pure ratio terms, I can say it 1:10. This way I can say it also. If I don't want to say it 10%, I can say it 1:10. Then percentage I have already told you that sometimes we will express ratios in percentages. Sometimes we will be expressing ratios in pure ratio terms. Sometimes we can say that capital is 10 times of the profit, or profit is 1/10 times of the capital, that we can say. So times means multiplier. A variable is expressed number of times in comparison to. So then sometimes we express in fraction also, that it is 0.75 or it is 0.5 or it is 1/10. So these are the various ways of expressing ratios, but these are all ratios. So some of the ratios we will be expressing in pure ratio terms, some of the ratios we will be expressing in percentage terms, some of the ratios we will be expressing in times, and some of the ratios we will be expressing in fraction also. So different types of ratios are communicated in different types of expressions that we will be learning. Now, what are the different types of ratios are there? However, there are a lot of ratios, but which ratios are in your syllabus that I have mentioned here? So, firstly, your syllabus is having 4 types of ratios, A, B, C, D, you can see. One is liquidity ratios, then next one is solvency ratios, third one is activity ratios or turnover ratios, and last one is profitability ratios. So these 4 types of ratios are there in your syllabus. And in liquidity ratios, however, one more ratio is there, but in your syllabus only 2 ratios are there: current ratio and liquid ratio. In solvency ratios, there are 4 ratios: debt to equity ratio, total assets to debt ratio, proprietary ratio, interest coverage ratio. Then again, activity ratios is having 4 types of ratios: inventory turnover ratio, trade receivables turnover ratio, trade payables turnover ratio, working capital turnover ratio, and profitability ratios are there. Now, what I want to say here, that if you will count them, 2 plus 4 6 plus 4 10 and 5 15. 15 ratios are there in your syllabus, and each of the ratio will be having around 3 formula. At least 3 formula are connected with each ratio. It can be more in case of some other ratios also. So then it becomes 45. Around 50 formula are there. So what I want to say that you cannot learn 50 formulae in a day. But if you will practice each and every ratio for 1 or 2 days by writing their formula every time, reciting that formula, understanding the logic of that formula, then it will be easily learned. Otherwise, most of the times what happen, most of the students are able to do the chapter, but the most difficult part of this chapter becomes that how to remember this formula. If I know the formula, I will be able to solve the question. But the difficult part is that how to remember the formula. Lot of technicalities are there, lot of rules are there for each and every formula. So how to remember that all? So because we don't practice it simultaneously, that's why we face this problem. So at the end of this chapter, you will be facing this problem if you will not be doing it regularly. Now coming to the first type of ratios, liquidity ratios. Now what is the purpose of calculating liquidity ratios? What is the meaning of liquidity? That should be first clear to us. Each and everything should be clear to us with a logic. If we know the logic, we don't need to remember anything. We don't need to cram anything in this chapter. But if we don't know the logic behind that, we have to cram it. Now, last year you have studied liquid assets. So liquid assets are the assets which can be converted into cash very fast. That is called liquid assets. Liquidity ratios are actually, first thing, the objective behind calculation of liquidity ratios is that we want to check the short-term financial position of the company. See, we analyze the balance sheet only for the purpose of assessing the financial position of the company. So liquidity ratios will help us to identify, to judge the short-term financial position of the company. Short-term, obviously, in account, short-term means uh, financial position of 1 year, regarding 1 year. Now, there are two types of ratios in liquidity ratios. One is current ratio and one is liquidity ratio, liquid ratio. So now see the formula of current ratio. First, see the formula of current ratio. Current ratio is equal to current assets upon current liabilities. Now, first thing is that you should be clear about the meaning of current assets and meaning of current liabilities. So that already we have discussed in class 11th and we have used this term many times. So we should be clear about the meaning. Current assets are the assets which either will be consumed in a year or which will be converted into cash within a year. And then current liabilities are the liabilities either which will be paid within a year. The liabilities which are there for not more than 1 year, that will be repaid or settled within a year, that is termed as current liabilities. This we have already discussed in chapter 1 also. So now if you want to do this, if you want to calculate this ratio practically, how you will be finding the information, as I have given you the PDF of the company. As I have given you the PDF of the company, how you will be able to calculate current ratio of that company. You have to calculate current ratio of that company for 2 years, for last year also and for current year also. So first see the balance sheet in that annual report and pick total of current assets and current liabilities. So you will find in the balance sheet current assets are mentioned and current liabilities are mentioned. Take out the total of current assets and total of current liabilities from there in that balance sheet. Then calculate first year current ratio and then previous year ratio. And then afterwards you calculate the previous year ratio. And this sequence will be followed for each and every ratio. First you will calculate the current year ratio and then afterwards you will calculate the previous year ratio. And as we are proceeding in the chapter, you are supposed to calculate the ratio which we have discussed in the class on the same day. Later on, I will not be able to help you. So now keep proper gap between each ratio. One page can have one ratio for both years. Like on one page, you are solving suppose current ratio. So on that page, you will be writing the formula, then you will calculate it for the current year, and then you will calculate it for previous year. And on this page, you don't need to write any other formula or any other ratio. Then use next page for new ratio. Now, first solve all ratios on rough and get it verified, and then make it fair. So whatever ratio you are calculating, first calculate it in rough, then get it verified from me, and then when I verify it that yes, it is correct, then only you will be writing it in fair. Now, these are the points for calculation of current ratio. First thing, it is expressed as pure ratio. So whenever we are calculating current ratio, we will express it as pure ratio. Now, pure ratio I have explained how to write the pure ratio like this, as you were writing the share of the partners in the partnership. Then it checks ability to pay current liabilities. Now see, in numerator what is there? Current assets, and in denominator what is there? Current liabilities. So what actually we are trying to calculate, we are trying to find that against current liabilities, for their safety, for their payment, how much current assets the company is having. Suppose my current liability is rupees 100 and my current assets are only rupees 60. So that means I don't have sufficient assets to repay the current liabilities. Obviously, current liabilities will be repaid only through current assets, not from the non-current assets. If you are paying your current liabilities from your non-current assets, you will not be able to continue your business. So your current assets should be sufficient. Now, what is the parameter of sufficient? Like suppose I am having current liabilities of 100 and also I am having current assets of rupees 100. Is this position good? So what is the standard of current ratio? When it will be considered as good? So when your current assets will be at least 2 times of the current liabilities, then it will be considered as a better position, good position of current assets. Because of what reason? The reason behind that is that even if somehow due to circumstances I am not able to realize my current assets at full value, even then it is quite possible that I will be able to pay my current liabilities. If I am realizing only 50% value of my current assets. Suppose my current assets are rupees 200 and I will not be able to realize more than rupees 100 from them. Even then I will be able to pay the current liabilities safely. So that is considered as safe. That's why it is always demanded that your current assets should be at least double of your current liabilities. So this is the standard of current ratio, that it should be at least 2:1. But according to the some industries, it can vary. It can be in some industries, it can be 3:1. In some industries, it can be 2.5:1. So it varies from the industry to industry also. But a common standard is 2:1. But at the same time, if it is coming too high, like it can be suppose 5:1 or 4:1, that means your funds are unnecessarily blocked in current assets. Too much high amount is blocked in current assets, that should not be there, that is also not good. So it should be in a balanced manner, 2 to 3 only. So I hope the theoretical part of the ratios and current ratio is clear. Now in balance sheet also we have done this part, what are the components of current assets and what are the components of current liabilities. When we know the balance sheet, then we don't need to remember the formula, and we will be able to decide which current assets I have to include while calculating current assets and which values I have to include while calculating current liabilities. Because see, you can calculate current ratio only when you know the two amounts. One is current assets and one is current liabilities. So what are the components of current assets? Current investments, and in current investments, short-term investment, either it should be short-term investment or it should be marketable securities, that it will be counted in current assets. Inventories of raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade. These all will be included in value of current assets. But inventories also include the value of stores and spares, loose tools. So that is not counted in value of current assets only and only when you are calculating current ratio. So that's why I have put them in red. That these values, if you find in the question that these values are there in current assets, then you have to subtract these values from the value of current assets. Then trade receivables, debtors and bills receivable both will be the part of current assets, but the rule applicable with that is that trade receivables will always be taken net of provisions. Whatever provisions are there, you will be subtracting these provisions from trade receivables. These provisions are generally here in the short-term provisions, provision for doubtful debts, provision for discount on debtors. Such provisions will be deducted from trade receivables, and then afterwards you will include that value in the value of current assets. Then next is cash and cash equivalents, cash in hand, cash at bank, checks in hand. These all will be counted as current assets. If any short-term loans are given or these current assets are given, prepaid expenses, accrued income, advance tax, these all will be counted in the value of current assets. So better is that if you remember these all, as I have told you in first chapter also, that you have to learn these will be helping you in the coming chapters. So if you know these all subheadings and contents of the balance sheet, if you have learned them, you don't need to remember the formula specifically. Now same is the value for current liabilities, short-term borrowings, so bank overdraft, cash credit, or any short-term loan, or any short-term deposit accepted from the public, then it will be counted as short-term borrowings, and it will be included in current liabilities. Then creditors and bills payable will also be included in current liabilities. These all 13, 14 points, interest accrued and due, interest accrued but not due, then income received in advance, unearned income, unpaid dividends, excess application money, unpaid mature deposits, outstanding expenses, these all will be counted as your current liabilities. So whatever information is given for them, these all will be added in the value of current liabilities. So you will find at this point of time, this formula becomes lengthy for you, difficult to remember. But if you have learned first chapter, if you have practiced first chapter, then it will be very easy for you. Then the short-term provision part, if question is giving you short-term provisions, the words are short-term provisions, you will be adding it in current liabilities. But if provision for doubtful debts is given, then it will be subtracted from the value of trade receivables. So it need not to be added here again. But provision for taxation, provision for employee benefits, these will always remain in short-term provisions. So these will also be included in current liabilities. So that way I have explained you the formula of current assets and current liability and current ratio. So these are the three formula associated with this ratio. One or two more formula will also be there that we will be discussing when we will be proceeding in this chapter. In the next period, we will be discussing its numerical part.